The president announced today that he might go after Russia if they don't stop bombing Ukraine. He also told Elon Musk it may be about time to sit down and shut up. Why is this happening? On my last video, I talked about the town halls, the Republican town halls that were sweeping the nation with anger and rage. Well, all of this has given me kind of a different perspective on the president. You know, we've all thought for a long time that he is the boss and his followers do whatever he says. I'm starting to realize, and as I think back on it in the past during the first administration, I think there's evidence to show that this was kind of true. He's not their boss, they're actually his boss. They boss him. He actually follows where he thinks they're going. He follows where he thinks Republican voters are going. And I'm starting to think from watching some of these town halls that the people who show up, they're obviously real Republicans. They're obviously real conservatives, but they're not all in on MAGA at all. And I'm starting to realize a lot of the Republicans who voted for the president on down, they did so not because they're super in love with everything he said he wants to do, which is why I think a lot of them just kind of shoved it off and said, no, he can't mean that. But now that when they're finding out that he did mean it, now they're horrified. And I think they voted for him not because they were super MAGA or super extreme so much as that they're just lifelong Republicans. And they can't bear the thought of voting for a Democrat. It just is antithetical to everything they know. A lot of conservatives even believe it's a sin. Their churches teach that it's a sin to vote for a Democrat. That's crazy. Anyway, if you follow what he's done in his first term and now compare it to now, there's evidence that he literally follows them. Remember, he was the one who made the big push for the COVID vaccine. That's the one thing I give him credit for in his first term. That's the best thing I thought he did. He got the government wheels that turn off their duffs and got them working to get the vaccine done and to get it approved quickly. And he bragged about it until he found out MAGA has turned against vaccines. Suddenly he doesn't mention the vaccine anymore, his greatest accomplishment in his first term, in my estimation. And now that these town halls have shown that MAGA or whatever, his base, is moving away from him, everybody else is thinking, this doesn't make any sense. Just last week, he had the exact opposite position. But if you go with the theory that he follows them, he obeys his base, which is, after all, what a good employee does, right? You obey your boss. And those who vote for you, they're your boss. And that's the one thing he's been really good at over the years, unfortunately, for the rest of us. But let's take a look at some videos. I just want to show you a couple of examples from some of these. Oh, actually, it's from one town hall. It's from the first one. It was a congressman named Rich McCormack in Georgia. And he was the first one to withstand this barrage of protests from his voters in a town hall. And let me just play a couple of excerpts from that. This first one is a woman. She's going to be talking about Elon Musk. She's saying, the first part is a little hard to hear. She's saying something like, you knew this would be about Elon. And anyway, her first couple of words talk about Elon. Let's listen.
Elon was going to be the main topic tonight, and he's going to continue to be the main topic tonight because we are all freaking pissed off about this. You're going to hear it and feel it.
You see, she is pissed off about Elon. And when you listen to these people, if you're a conservative, you can tell that they are real conservatives. They speak conservative. They have the accent, they have the language, they have the thoughts that a conservative would have. Here's another guy at the same town hall on the same subject. And notice how the crowd applauds and they boo the congressman and they applaud these points that are made in criticism of what's going on in Washington.
I want to say that from a conservative perspective, the approach of DOGE is completely 180 degrees. They've been indiscriminate and they've taken a chainsaw to these things. We've seen that with workers from the nuclear workers, the NNSA, our nuclear stockpile, and CDC workers working on the bird flu being fired by DOGE and then having to be rehired when someone realizes, oh gosh, we need those people. What's not reasonable is taking this chainsaw approach, which they obviously admit when they fired these people and then decided, oh, we fired the wrong people. We got to bring them back in. Why is this being jammed down the pipe so rushed and sloppily?
So
Use a scalpel.
Yeah, so very articulate, very well said from that man. Everybody, I was amazed at how articulate these people were and how well informed they were. And these are Republican voters. Here's one more. This one's on Ukraine.
According to your bio, your deployment to various
crowd.
areas of conflict, I would like to know your opinion and your stance on the current situation created by the president, wherein he is now saying that Ukraine is responsible for the war that Russia has initiated. And I would like to know, I would like to know if you as a congressman will get with your fellow congresspeople and stand up to the lies that are being told to the Americans.
She didn't like the lies. She's referring specifically to what Trump said about Zelensky. And she is angry about that, as well she should be. Now, let's look at this. This is what stunned me when I got up this morning and checked in on the news to see what was going on. This is a post from Donald Trump on a social network ironically named Truth Social. He woke up this morning and first thing he did was type this out. It says, based on the fact that Russia is absolutely pounding Ukraine on the battlefield right now, which they are, I am strongly considering large-scale banking sanctions and tariffs on Russia until a ceasefire and a final settlement agreement on peace is reached. To Russia and Ukraine, get to the table right now before it's too late. Thank you. That's a pretty stunning turnaround. That, I guarantee you, is completely a result of these town halls and the president's realizing, whoa, wait a minute, my people aren't behind me on this. They're not behind me like I thought they were. That's what's behind this. So if we can keep the pressure on, then things might change a little bit, hopefully. And when I say keep the pressure on, we might keep the pressure on. Here's the thing. Democrats can't do this. Liberals can't do this. George Soros can't pay people $20 or $200 to show up at these town halls and complain. Because the reason it's working is it was authentic. It was grassroots. Nobody planned it. And despite the fact that they're now claiming that that is what happened, that it was planned and George Soros paid for it, they know in their hearts that it wasn't. They're just saying that as a front to they hope it'll deflect some negative public attention. But they know. And that's why Trump is changing his story on these things. Sorry, almost missed one. Here's the other one about Elon. That was another big complaint they had at the town halls all across the country. Trump tells cabinet secretaries they, not Musk, are in charge of staff cuts. Donald Trump told his cabinet members on Thursday that they have the final say on staffing and policy at their agencies. That's a news story. The billionaire Tesla CEO and his Department of so-called government efficiency will play an advisory role only, the president said. And he also said, I want the numbers, but I also want to keep the good people. That's 180 degrees difference. First of all, he's saying there are good people. Well, I'm glad he woke up and found that out. I guess when you fire the nuclear technicians who are keeping the world safe, you suddenly might realize something went wrong. And hopefully that's what happened. But yes, of course, there are many good... America has a government that's the envy of the world. The expertise that is in our government just blows every other country away. The knowledge we have, the people, the amazing people in our government. Yes, there are freeloaders, a few here and there, but honestly, I don't think it's nearly as many as I was told growing up in the conservative world. I don't think it's anywhere close to that. I think it's probably is pretty similar to what you would find in any private company. So yeah, there are a lot of good people, but He couldn't have said this a week ago when he thought MAGA, because he's been telling them for, 10 years that it's the deep state and all the people in the government are bad. Marjorie Taylor Greene was out recently with a horrible rant about it, how horrible people who work for the government are, apparently not noticing that she works for the government now too. So anyway, speak for yourself, Margie. Anyway, this is a good change, but we can do nothing to promote it or propel it. It has to be done by Republican voters. And I hope there are enough sane Republican voters who aren't far right fringe MAGA people, but just regular people, regular Republicans like the ones from years gone by who would have been happy to vote for Bush or whoever else. But they would have been happy to have voted for any regular, normal Republican. But they only had Trump, and they couldn't vote for a Democrat. Here's the reason why Democrats and liberals can't fake this, and please don't start showing up at these town halls if they continue to have them, since they've asked everyone to shut them down, because they believe in free speech and they believe in the right of voters to be able to express their thoughts to their elected representatives. So they've shut the town halls down. They don't want to talk to them anymore. If you're going to complain, we're not going to talk to you. That's their attitude, apparently. But if they do continue to have town halls, Democrats and liberals, please don't show up, because they will know you're fake. They'll know you're not a real conservative. They'll know you're not a real Republican. The reason these are so effective is because it was totally grassroots. It was totally organic and authentic. And the Congress people who were there, they knew that. And if they detect a whiff that there's like 15 Democrats planted in this audience because they're going on Democrat talking points, the whole thing will be blown. They'll have no effect anymore. You'll ruin it. It'll be ruined for all of us. So please don't show up. I'll say it like this. If you're a conservative and you've been a lifelong conservative like I was, there's a lingo, a language, there's thought processes that that outsiders don't know. I grew up in the South. I grew up in Georgia, in Atlanta, which is down there actually called Atlanta. So that's where I grew up. And I remember we used to laugh our heads off when Hollywood would put out a movie that had a role with a character who was from the South and had to speak with a Southern accent. But it was some Hollywood actor who had never been to the South speaking with the fake Southern accent that to us, we instantly recognized, and it was laughable. It sounded so stupid. Like we would sit there and think, do they really think that's how we sound? And it literally wasn't. But now that I've been in New York so many years, when I hear a Hollywood actor do a Southern accent, I'm so far removed from it now. I think, oh yeah, that sounds good. Outsiders don't know, but insiders do. And the elected representatives are the ultimate insiders. They're there because they know how to read their people and they know how to read a crowd. So don't show up if you're not for real, okay? Let the regular Republicans do their job. Let them keep doing what they're doing. There's literally almost nothing we can do to push this or promote it, okay? And that's all I got for today. If you found it interesting, like, and if you'd like to hear more, subscribe. And I appreciate you watching, and see you next time.